Welcome everyone, it's Andrew here from iDownload Blog, taking a different look at phones today with the Xiaomi Redmi Note 4. This is a budget Android phone that's kind of been making a lot of waves since it was released. A lot of people have been saying that Xiaomi is like the Apple of China. This is a really budget-friendly phone, but it really has some premium specs. And it also just looks gorgeous. I have the 64 gig model, but like many Android phones, it is expandable via micro USB or micro SD and can go up to an additional 256 gigs. Aside from micro SD expansion, it can actually also support multiple SIM cards. So you can have dual SIM cards in there, allowing you to take both work and personal calls on the same device with different numbers. Amongst the really standout features of this phone is the screen. It's only 1080p, but it looks absolutely gorgeous and has nice little rounded edges that make it just feel really great in the hand. Along the back is a 13 megapixel camera, a flash, and a pretty surprisingly good fingerprint reader. I've tried a bunch of different fingerprint readers on Android phones, and a lot of time they're really subpar, but this was really fast and it gave you a little bit of haptic feedback to let you know when you did unlock your phone. The setup screen looks actually really similar to setting up Touch ID on my iPhone. The one thing that I was a little bit let down on, and we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at here, is the actual camera itself. So we're going to compare this again shot for shot with the iPhone 7, Apple's kind of cream of the crop, best camera out there. And it does, I love the camera UI, and it is really fast. There's a lot of different shooting modes in here, including, panoramas and, timer-based ones. So lots of different shooting modes, as well as lots of filters. They have both filters in here for things like, changing the light, like the light of things, as well as some fisheye or stretch, more kind of, fun filters that you can use if you're doing selfies or something. So lots of different options when you're shooting, but however, there are a few disadvantages. So first up, that front-facing shooter is only 5 megapixel, which I say only, like Apple just recently switched to a higher resolution. But again, it isn't great on the front-facing camera, and the rear-facing camera, it does good. It's 13 megapixels, but some of the colors are a little bit, blurred out, and there is a lot of lack of clarity in lower light photos. So here are all the Note 4 photos. If we go ahead and we'll compare those now against the iPhone. One thing, especially for the picture of the cat here, it was really kind of hard to get it to be really clear. For when the subject was a little bit moving, it was a little bit hard to kind of get it to be clear compared to the iPhone. Almost everything was clear. If we look side by side, the colors again are a little bit more vivid on the Note, but that's kind of fake looking. But I think everything overall looked a lot better on the iPhone side of things. So camera was a bit of a letdown, but otherwise this phone was pretty great all around. Again, the screen was phenomenal. It's pretty straightforward. On the right hand side of the phone is the power button on the bottom, as well as the volume rocker right above that. I think I do prefer the fingerprint sensor on kind of the home button or the front of the device, but the back is relatively okay. A lot of other ones have put it in that location. The top of the phone has obviously a headphone jack, like pretty much all other phones do, as well as an IR port, so you can use this as a universal remote. You could actually set it up that way. On the bottom is micro USB. That's another downside. I kind of wish they had gone with USB-C, but it's not too big of a deal. The phone itself is very speedy. It's actually sporting like a 10-core processor in here. Now I know that that's kind of just specs for the sake of specs, but it does perform very well. I never really noticed any sluggishness in actually operating the phone. And that is with this MIUI or the MIUI skin over top of the stock Android, which actually has a lot of fans, and I'm pretty happy with it too. It didn't really slow the phone down at all, and it has a few really cool features, such as this second space feature, which is really unique. It allows you to simply set up, it's like using two devices. I can actually have my work stuff on one and personal stuff on the other. I can even set up dual fingerprints, so I can go, my left hand opens up my personal side and the right hand opens up my second. I can have completely separate sets of files and photos, applications. When you do set it up, you can set up a second passcode. So again, personal passcode and your second passcode, and you can import or transfer any of your files in between either of your two sides. So it works really, really well, and it's kind of a nice feature if you do want to keep those things separate. Dual SIM cards and dual spaces here allows you to do a lot with this simple little phone. As you can see, we can actually test this out. So my left finger, I'll put on the fingerprint sensor on the back, and I'm in really quick. I'm in my first space, I'm gonna lock my phone, open it back up, use my right finger this time, nothing different, but now I'm actually going to be in a completely different space with different applications, different files, different photos, different everything. So a lot of cool applications there. Maybe have a second space for a child, for work stuff, for personal stuff, however you need to split it up. Battery life here is a beast. It's got a 4100 milliamp hour battery. With moderate usage, that will easily get you 2 days worth of use out of this phone. The phone comes in 2 different colors, the silver and the gold model, and they're extremely cheap at $169-ish for the lower gig version and $255-ish for the 64 gig variant. They aren't really sold here in the US, but you can find them at the link below if you're interested. Please go ahead and subscribe. Let us know what you think of this